In this case, they're not.
So if you subsection C, saying that it's only with notice of hearings, it's going to be on the map and with notice of hearings. Then I'll put that there.
Yeah.
That's the other thing he said. That's more than what I can do. Yeah, but I think that. I'll take care of it.
I was thinking he was. Should be, I guess.
It's not.
Well, we'll have to have a talk about that then too. Guys ready? Yes, sir. All right, it's 4:30, we're going to start off with the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks for coming, everyone. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the February?
Hold on.
Hearing first.
Let's do the hearing first. Sorry, I'm doing.
It's all right.
Yep, the first thing on the agenda will be the public hearing. And the purpose of the hearing is to receive public input regarding a request for an inter-municipal transfer of a restaurant liquor license. Is there correspondence?
Well, we received a request and the proposed resolution. Is Mr. Dermott here?
McDermott, yeah.
Yeah. Ken Dermott is here
Okay.
representing the applicant.
Okay. You want to come up and say your...
Got a few comments?
Yes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken McDermott. I'm here tonight with Gary Turner. Gary is part of the management team at our local Cracker Barrel here in Summit Township. We're here on behalf of the applicant, which is CBOCS Pennsylvania LLC. CBOCS Pennsylvania LLC is Cracker Barrel's Pennsylvania affiliate. It owns and operates all the Cracker Barrel locations here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They are all owned by Cracker Barrel Incorporated. They're not franchised. And I think that's important because Cracker Barrel really prides itself on having a very particular experience for its customers and a very consistent experience across the board. And the reason we're here tonight is to ask for your approval to transfer a liquor license to the Summit Township location. This has been a couple-year process for Cracker Barrel across the country. Pennsylvania, unfortunately, is kind of one of the last states because of our unique alcohol laws. So we're now in the process of going through the application process with a select number of Cracker Barrel locations in the state, including, as I said, here in Summit Township. I think it's important for the township to know that what Cracker Barrel is seeking here is a very limited alcohol service. It's not going to turn itself into a sports bar. We're not gonna have DJs and live bands. We're not actually even gonna install a bar. There's really no construction or renovation work that needs to be done. It's really just a basic alcohol menu to have an option for the customers to have a beer with their meal, or brunch, or whatever the case may be. And that's largely from feedback nationwide in terms of options that people want to see when they come, for a meal. And I have an exhibit, a representative menu that shows you sort of the alcohol options that would be in place. It's about 8 to 10 beer options, maybe 4 to 6 wine options, and a few mimosas for brunch. So I do have Mr. Turner here, who can also testify as a witness if need be. I can run through some questions with him. And of course, we're here to answer any questions that the board has, or any questions that the public has as well.
Yeah, great. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't. Tim?
On the intermunicipal transfer, I think so much of your the resolution and the request for the transfer is tied up in the operations of Cracker Barrel. Everyone knows what that is. That's a known entity. Would you be opposed to a limitation that instead of it being transferred, well, it would be transferred to CBOS Pennsylvania LLC, but put a condition on there for the operation of a Cracker Barrel or under the Cracker Barrel franchise? Because under CBOS Pennsylvania LLC, it could be granted there with the intent of it being a Cracker Barrel, but then you could open a sports bar, which would be antithetical to what it is that you just proposed.
I would have to think about how that meshes with the Liquor Control Board's application, because it's really going to be one and the same. If we get the approval, if the resolution says CBOCS Pennsylvania LLC, we can only apply for a liquor license in the name of CBOCS Pennsylvania LLC.
Right, but CBOCS Pennsylvania LLC could have multiple holdings at some point and change the flag under which that particular property was operated.
Tim?
This does say for restaurant facilities within Summit Township located at 7810 Interchange Road.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's
But
going to be.
I'm worried about the flag, because we could change that and turn it into a sports bar that would be open till, 2 in the morning, that would have, very different than the application that is being made here today.
No, I think that would be a little bit outside the bounds, because we're representing to you that Cracker Barrel is going to use this license for itself, and as far as I know, Cracker Barrel is going to be there for a long period of time. Could Cracker Barrel decide 5 years from now, hey, look, we don't want to be in this market anymore, we're going to sell our location to somebody else with a license? Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. That's a possibility for any liquor license. I mean, any grocery store or gas station could do the same thing. But I can only represent to the township tonight what we have planned in terms of our request.
So then would it, and we could talk offline, because I think that the limitations that can be put on that are a little more lenient for the municipality than what we believe. We can talk about that. We don't have to debate that right now.
Okay.
So then would you be amenable to a consideration of what you just said, where there would be no public bar and that it would just be table service?
That's something we would have to discuss with Cracker Barrel headquarters. I think they would probably be okay with something like that, because again, the plan is not to install a bar or essentially change the character of Cracker Barrel. But I have a little bit of a concern about what the township can and can't do in terms of placing restrictions on the approval.
Right, I've done it before.
Yeah.
In other municipalities, but I haven't had a chance to talk to the supervisors about what their desires are, but I want to make them aware that some of the time, manner, place restrictions that you can put in place on these transfers, if you so desire, would include considering a certain format, hours, things of that nature. And I think that those would be reasonable things to consider if that's something you desire. Now, you've got 45 days from the date of an application in order to make a decision, so there's more than enough time to do that. But I just wanted to at least have that conversation and start that if that's the desire that we wanted to go that direction.
And that would be something else. Cracker Barrel, we don't intend to change the hours of operation, so we're not going to be open until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Possibly they would consider something like that.
And like I said, I haven't had a chance to discuss with my client about that, but I think the strength of the application would be from the Cracker Barrel brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We won't be spoiled.
Yeah. I think Cracker Barrel has a
Pretty good
reputation for being a good neighbor in the townships that they're in, so we definitely want to stick with that.
And that's a conversation I'll have with my folks out.
All right.
But now I think it would be appropriate that if any member of the public had any comment for you to hear that as well.
Yeah, I just make sure you're done.
I'm done now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment regarding the liquor license transfer, Cracker Barrel? No, okay, good. Well, I mean, that's all the hearing is right there, so, thanks.
All right, thank you.
And motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now we'll go to our regular business meeting. I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from February 6, 2023 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Questions about the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the January 2023 Treasurer's Report.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
Questions about the Treasurer's Report? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda amendments, are we going to amend anything?
So I do need to make one change. In number 3, I had January 2022. I changed that to 23 on my original agenda.
Okay, cool. I guess that's that. Correspondence, we have correspondence, Lisa?
Ms. Stephanie Harps called and requested being placed on the agenda for this evening.
Are you, oh, do you want to come up, Ron?
Sure.
State your name and your address.
My name is Stephanie Hart, 78 Pinewood Lane.
Thank you.
I've lived in Summit Village Mobile Home Park for a little over 4 years, and the time I've lived here, conditions of the park have only gotten worse as the complaints of the residents have gotten more frequent. We are on, I believe, the 3rd new ownership since I've resided here, and still no change in our living conditions. This led me to do some research of my own, and consequently what has brought me before you all today. Summit Township Ordinance on Mobile Home Parks, Article 8, Section 80310, subsection D states dead-end streets shall be provided at the closed end with a turnaround having an outside paved roadway diameter of at least 90 feet with 120-foot right-of-way. This ordinance is not only very clear, but was also enacted 5 years before any preliminary plans were presented to Summit Township for Summit Village, which the ordinances were enacted January 1966. I did take a quick look at the documents the township has on file pertaining to Summit Village, and all of the plans I was able to see did not have a dead-end road until the early 80s. The man who was the owner at the time had to fix a gully between Pinewood and Applewood Lane and ultimately complete the original approved plans of the trailer park. Instead, the man built 8 unapproved plots across the street east of the approved plots of Applewood Lane. The man was cited and fined approximately $380, to which he appealed, but I saw no further plans of correction. That was in 1986. The safety issues of the dead-end road are not only issues us residents have with the conditions of the park, although the mere fact that the garbage collection trucks have been backing down this road for years should be concerning enough. The road conditions, sewage backup, erosion issues that have went uncorrected for so many years that the aforementioned gully is now a potential environmental hazard. Our driveways are swamps if it rains for even an hour. Our park is so tiny and unmanaged that the kids of the community rarely use it. Our recreational space, which should be 10% of the park acreage as of 8/03/15, was seemingly cut short with the addition of the 8 unapproved trailers on the easternmost part of Applewood Lane, as the plans show that area being reserved for more recreational space. Section 4 of 80310 refers to the required illumination of park street systems, addresses adequate lighting of our streets, to which our park does not comply with. 80311 and 80312 about off-street parking areas and visitor parking is not even addressed in any of the plans of the park that I saw or admittedly didn't notice. The residents of the community have tried voicing our many concerns to our newest ownership, Mobile Realty 12 LLC, whose office is based out of Lancaster, PA, but with little to no change. In October of 2022, some of our potholes were temporarily repaired as per the on-call maintenance man, and is the only staff of the newest ownership that our park has had in over a year. We were told they would be fixed within the week, which never happened, but they are now worse than they were. We have never had a property manager or a regular maintenance man since their ownership. The last couple months have consisted of multiple residents being unlawfully evicted, as none of the bare minimum requirements of ownership have been met, and I'm referring to the posting of the Manufactured Home Community Rights Acts, a lease, and the ownership rules and regulations, leaving families scrambling to find places to go simply due to the negligence of the ownership. There are multiple homes that have been vacant for years that have been vandalized and are not only an eyesore, but also causing infestation issues with multiple residents. Our lot rent is nearly $600 a month, when a park that is actually appropriately managed and maintained less than a half a mile south of our park is $200 less. I am here seeking answers. Who is ultimately responsible for the current condition of our park, and why hasn't it been addressed sooner? The park has passed the Department of Health yearly inspection, but how? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Someone's gonna have to help me out with this one, I guess.
So we haven't had an opportunity to fully investigate the complaint and determine what's going on. I'll note that it's my understanding that the park did exist in, as of the date that this ordinance was adopted. We'll look into that. But it says that mobile home parks in existence upon the effective date of this ordinance shall be required to meet only the standards of the Erie County Health Department. And so we would have to, it seems like a lot of this would have to be, timing issues to figure out what existed when and who what.
Please,
who knew what.
because as per all of the plans that are recorded with the Summit Township Building state 1971 was the initial preliminary plan. If the ordinance was in effect since 66, this should have been rectified years ago.
So, like I said, we haven't had an opportunity to look into it substantively. Jamie, do you have anything else to add?
I was told by the office, I would like it on record, that contracts were not of essence back then. That contracts did not exist back then. That the reason that they are not in the office currently is because they were not in existence. I was also told by the administrative assistant that in 2019, the Summit Township Building spent $90,000 on a lawyer to repeal the ordinances, word for word. I am aware that that is not how government works, and I am a full believer in ignorance is bliss. The more I dig into this, the more comes to light. And we have been the butt of unjust for years. I could walk away I paid mere pennies for my trailer, but my poor neighbor next to me paid $20,000 mortgage and is almost done with the amount of parked trailers that have been sold and unmaintained and the amount of people that have been unjustly evicted over the last few months. The speculation can only be that they're selling this place from under our noses. We have no idea what to think. We have no idea what to do, and to be completely honest, I did not go door to door and post this because I don't know of what I'm aware of. I just know that I'm educated. And the more I look into this, the more it seems like something the Summit Township and the Department of Health has just covered up for many years.
Well, I'm glad that you came.
Me too.
And we will talk about this at length. I guess I had no idea.
For over 30 years, that's in question. This dead-end road has been in for over 30 years. The last plan that I saw was 1986. This man who owned the park was fined for not finishing the park and building across the street, which was not a part of the approved plot plan. It was in 5 initial installments. After a year, they have 1 year to complete one of the plot plans, which they did. The park has never been completed. The park is not completed as of today. There is no finalization of the park, nothing, but it's been sold to multiple ownerships. And now we're wondering who we complain to, because I'm not too sure that the ownership is well aware of this.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot of hands-on with trailer parks. Usually they're governing themselves, but in this case, it doesn't sound good, so.
It's not.
We'll look through the developer folder. I wasn't around that time. I was
Much
2 at that time, I think.
I was
And-
3. Well,
And so-
honestly, I really appreciate you bringing that in here.
I received this.
We're afraid, sir. To be completely honest, we're terrified. I went about my procedures the wrong way, so I am currently facing eviction because I didn't look into the proper procedures. Now, I'm handling that on my own, but that doesn't negate what has happened since then. Because of this eviction that I'm currently facing, any complaint that I make to the Attorney General, to the Bureau of Consumer Protection, is null and void because it seems prejudicial. So since then, the other community members have made complaints, but to what? It's this environmental gully. As of 1996, there was a landslide that was caused by a gully formed by a landfill, which this wasn't caused by the landfill, it went in after, but it was equivalent to third world landslides. And truly, that is a huge concern. It's like the Grand Canyon in our backyard, and how it's gotten to that degree is beyond me.
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk. We'll talk. Thanks for your
Thank you very much.
enlightenment. Where's that leave us? Old business. We have any old business? Well, we have new business. Are we gonna table the new A? Is that what we need to do with A?
That's up to you. I mean, I just wanted, I mean, you have 45 days in which to act. I mean, if you want to move forward and you're fine with it as is, that's fine. If you want to talk about that and you know, look at it a little bit more, you can do that as well. I just wanted you to be aware that you had some options, that's all.
Right, and you know, we pay you for that information. I don't think it should go unheard, so I'll make a motion to table A until the next meeting. Anyone want a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. B, motion to approve or deny ordinance 2023-01 transportation map amendment. Matt, you
Yes, I'll take this one.
talk?
So this is the official map of the Summit Township Transportation Map. This is an amendment to ordinance 2020-08, which was the initial Summit Township Transportation Map. This ordinance will hereby adopt the official map of Summit Township, entitled Summit Township Transportation Map, dated January 23rd, with revisions as noted. Proposed future pedestrian sidewalk trail added to the map. The 5 points intersection changed from proposed to existing signalized intersection / roundabout. Removal of the transportation priorities that have been completed, and the township parcels updated as of December 31st, 2022. So we had a public hearing regarding this map on February 6th. We had some concerns regarding the road extension of Glory Drive to the proposed Hessinger Road. And then we had a few comments regarding sidewalks along 97 and possible debris and snow removal and maintenance. From those hearings, we reviewed the comments that we received, and we made no substantial changes to the map. So this is pretty much the same map that was shown at the public hearing.
Okay. To get a motion to approve or deny this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Questions regarding this ordinance? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. C, motion to approve or deny ordinance 2023-02, sidewalk ordinance amendment. Matt?
You want to read through it, Tim, or?
The whole thing?
It's not very long.
Well, that's up to you. I mean, it's right there. I mean,
All right, I'll just summarize.
Yeah.
So prior to this, our sidewalk ordinance required sidewalks in the B1, B2 district, R3, T1, PRD district. All these districts no longer exist with the adoption of the zoning ordinance. So we had to kind of regroup and determine the areas where the sidewalks would be required, which led to the change in the transportation map. So the transportation map that we just approved showed the areas of future sidewalk / trail where we determined based on the areas of population density and commercial locations, and just areas where it was required in the past. And we took a list of all the areas we were looking at, and we went through the planning commission, vetted those areas, and kind of whittled it down to what you saw in the prior map. So this is the ordinance, and the only thing that's changing in the sidewalk ordinance is section 4, requirement for sidewalks. So sidewalks will be required anywhere on the official map that is designated as future sidewalk, and sidewalks are required on both sides of new public streets and major subdivisions, land developments, and which intersect streets on with existing sidewalk or future sidewalk designated on the official map. So section B is saying if in the future there's a proposed subdivision that's not shown on this map and you're connecting into a street that has sidewalks, you have to continue the sidewalks in that subdivision as well. And then section C, property owner to construct sidewalk. Tim has a slight change to this one that we're going to include with the plan under section A. You want to read that one real quick, since it's not up here?
So if you could take a look at CA, right down there at the bottom. It says on any street designated on the official map, Summit Township Transportation Map, as future sidewalk, it shall be the duty of the property owner abutting such street to construct and maintain the sidewalk for such use of pedestrians. On every lot or parcel of land upon which a residence or other improvements being constructed, it shall be the concurrent duty of the contractor in charge of such construction to so construct such sidewalks as hereinbefore provided. Now, that section, Matt was saying that the intent of that section was to also include the application of subsection little c. So Matt, if you could go up to the next page.
Yes.
Which essentially says that whenever in the judgment, not essentially, it says, whenever in the judgment of the Board of Supervisors, it shall become necessary to construct sidewalks abutting on any streets as designated on the map, the board shall give notice to the owners or their agent to construct the sidewalk. If they fail to do so, the board supervisors may cause that to occur and charge the cost to the property owner. So based on my conversation with Matt today, he had said that the intent, the way he had read it, was that subsection A would only be implicated, the duty to construct the sidewalks would only be implicated if the property owner was to receive notice of the Board of Supervisors as expressed in subsection C. So I said, well, in order to achieve that, if you go back to the first page, Matt, in subsection A, it should read, on any street designated on the official map, Summit Township Transportation Map, as future sidewalk. And then let's put some new language in there that says, and upon receipt of notice from the Township Board of Supervisors pursuant to subsection C below, it shall be the duty of the property owner abutting such street to construct and maintain the sidewalk. So let's just make that eminently clear that the duty to construct the sidewalk would be twofold. Number one, if it was placed on the transportation map, and number two, if the Board of Supervisors were to trigger that by sending notice. So that was the, it was explained to me that that was the intent of that provision, to wrap those all together. And so if you were to move forward, I would request that you do so with that minor amendment to clarify the intent.
And that way, it's not just automatic because it's on the transportation plan. There has to be a two.
There would have to be a vote by the Board of Supervisors to trigger that, or you would come together and decide by majority vote that it's on the transportation plan, but now also we're going to require sidewalks be constructed in that particular street.
Okay. Matt, you like that?
Yeah, because the intent was, if you were, say someone was developing on Peach Street, there's no sidewalks along the frontage, they were to put in sidewalks, but there was another property between them and the intersection that supervisors would have a mechanism to go to the other property owner and say, so-and-so over here is putting in sidewalk, we'd like you to put in the sidewalk as well, so we have a connection and then complete the sidewalk period.
If it makes sense.
If it makes sense.
No sidewalks.
It wasn't to be a carte blanche, everybody has to put in sidewalk when we adopt the transportation plan. Because the one thing I harped on at the public hearing is the transportation plan is a planning document. It is not in itself the means to the end. It's just an idea, this is where we want sidewalks, this is where we want roads. By approving it, it does not automatically make it happen. So it's just a guide. So before it was based on zoning districts, you had to put sidewalks in all B1 districts. Well, the B1 district before went all the way down to the Waterford line. And I don't think we need a sidewalk out in front of Miller Pump on Peach Street. So this was more of a means to say, these are the specific areas we want sidewalk. Now in the future, if we want to add more areas, we can do that. And it's just an amendment to the transportation map and doesn't require another amendment to the sidewalk plan.
Right, good. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, good. So, back to C, motion to approve or deny ordinance 2023-02 as revised.
Question.
Well,
you'll-
let's take a motion
you'll
a
get
second.
Okay, 1 second. Sidewalk ordinance, motion to approve or deny ordinance 2023-02 sidewalk ordinance amendment. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, now questions. Who wants to talk?
One at a time, and please come up to the.
Come on up to, yeah. Just your quick name and address.
My name's Philip Bayhurst, 1890 Green Tree Drive.
Hi, Phil.
How you doing?
Good.
I want to thank you guys all for your service to the community. I want to start by saying I don't think anyone is opposed to any sidewalks. But the way the amendment 2023-02 is written, it will allow the township to force the existing residents to pay for a concrete sidewalk anywhere the township desires. That's the way it's written. This is without any regard to frontage, age of the home, how long somebody's lived there. The township can draw a red line on the map, get it approved, and then the homeowner is liable for the cost according to what you have written up there.
I believe this will create undue hardship to numerous families, of which many have lived and paid taxes for 15, 20, 30, even 50 years. Comments have been made on social media by a township employee that the township can force existing homeowners to pay for and install sidewalks already. I ask, if this is true, then why does the sidewalk ordinance need amended at all? I ask on behalf of my neighbors that the township supervisors reject this amendment to the sidewalk ordinance. I ask this board to seek alternative funding, such as grants, for the sidewalks that they desire, for trails or whatever. With inflation the highest it's been in years, national home sales in decline for 12 months, this is not the right time to force this tax on only some of the township residents. And I believe with language like, if the owners fail to construct such sidewalks, the township may lay out and construct the same or cause the same to be done, and the charge costs thereof against the property owners. Should the owners fail, well, I'm missing that section. I believe it's on the next page under C. Would be page 3. If the owners fail to pay the expense of the construction of the sidewalks for which they are liable, the Board of Supervisors may recover the amount by action of assumption, or may file municipal liens, therefore against the abutting properties under law for the filing and collection of municipal liens. That's pretty strong language for, well, if we don't send you a letter that you need to put a sidewalk in. That's pretty strong language. I don't like where this is going. I ask you to not approve this, to rethink it. Thank you.
Well, I think that was what we were talking about this morning when I was talking to Matt. You know, there's no sidewalks going in town hall building.
It's on the map.
Put on the map.
Well, it's on the map, but unless there's something to trigger it, unless there's a new construction or anything that makes sense, and
Why can't you take it
Then
off the
take it
map?
off the map.
Take it off the
The
map.
map's already approved. It's too late to take it off the map. We just approved the map right before this.
well, the sidewalk.
I ask you to vote against this, because the map's already approved.
Do we need to show sidewalks in town hall village? Is it detrimental that we do? With the city?
I think Tim wanted to say something.
Oh, say something, please.
I was just gonna say that language that, the gentleman was objecting to regarding municipal liens and the action in a subset, I can't say it either, subset, miserable Latin.
I thought that was a misprint.
No, that's the real thing. Nonetheless, that is straight out of the second-class township code. So,
Right.
I mean, if you're going to do if you're going to do the sidewalk ordinance, that is straight out of there, so that's nothing that we had, dreamed up.
Right.
I don't,
You understand what
I
that second class?
don't believe it, that it's straight out of the township code. If it was that case, you wouldn't need to make this amendment. I ask you to reject it at this time until some township residents have more of a time to review it. This is gonna affect a lot of people, not just Town Hall Village. This has the potential to affect every single road in the township.
It's right out of the second class.
Here's the second, you can read it, but he pretty much plagiarized it.
Straight up.
You're allowed to plagiarize the second class.
Oh, he did.
Then I ask, why do we need the amendment? Why do we need to amend
To
this?
make it
Because the old
easier.
ordinance was not clear on who did what, and we've had numerous cases where people get away with not doing what they're required to do because they can argue it better. So if we put the second class township code provision in there, it makes it more rock solid, so the township and the taxpayers don't have to burden the cost to put in sidewalks in areas where other people should have already did.
It's definitely not aimed towards Town Hall Village, it's more like the big guys that come in and they wanna
I
get off the
understand
hook.
that. It does not matter if it's aimed towards Town Hall Village. The language is clear.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually, when you guys aren't in office, it could be aimed towards Town Hall Village. And according to the map, you want to trail all the way down to Picnicana from Town Hall Village. That's 1.7 miles of concrete.
Why don't you put a grandfather clause as the people that live here, okay? If they've been living here for at least 40 years, why don't you put a grandfather clause that will not be affected?
Or they just, well, we can talk about doing whatever we gotta do, but the bottom line is, and I guess I don't know the answer, can it be removed from Town Hall Village specifically, if they all say?
We can, but we have to revise the transportation plan again.
Come on.
Or pay for my sidewalk.
Well, we just table them.
Yeah.
You can table that one.
I got three.
But the thing is the official map, it also says sidewalk/trail. The sidewalk ordinance says only sidewalk. So we're not, if we decide that a trail is warranted there.
What's a trail? Yeah. What's a?
It's a walking path that is not along the side of a road.
So I would say the language is not clear about any of that, but what is clear is coming after the property owner with liens. If the township ever were to decide, you need a sidewalk.
But every ordinance has language in it about liens and going after property.
Yeah, I don't like it either, I don't like it either.
Then that's fine, then let's not amend this one if it's already in the writing somewhere.
Tim, is there any way that we can go back to the transportation plan at this point and back it up until we get this straightened out?
Yeah, so we'll just clear up a couple different things. Part of the reason that this ordinance is being amended is because when Matt had said that when they changed the zoning law, that fundamentally changed a lot of this because the language was going back and forth and it needed to be updated to reflect the current status of the second-class township code and the current status of the zoning code. So that's why, that's what is triggering a lot of these things. Secondly, if the majority of the Board of Supervisors believes that the transportation plan, if you want to change something with it, you can undo your approval of that tonight by a motion to reconsider. And if you approve a motion to reconsider and then it comes back up on the agenda and you want to table it or do whatever, you can do that. Just because it was passed 5 seconds ago doesn't mean you can't undo that in the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
But I mean, that's up to you as to whether that's something that you want to do.
Well, that's your advice for a way out to reconsider.
Just giving you options.
All right. So motion to.
Why don't you take a vote?
So I mean, if that's something that you want to do, I mean,
Yeah. What did you say? You call it?
motion to reconsider.
Oh, reconsider, yeah. What do you think? All right, well, I'll make the motion that we reconsider the transportation plan. Can I get a second from anyone? And we can come back to this later.
I'll second.
Jack seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There. All right, so that's undone. We went back in time. We'll talk about this and get it straightened around so it's not.
So now that you've reconsidered that, that's as if that prior vote didn't happen. So if you want to table it so you can further consider the transportation plan, now would be the time to table it.
What about the sidewalk? Table, sidewalk.
Well, that'd be a separate order. We're only talking about the transportation plan right now. So what you've done by reconsidering it is you undid your approval.
Oh, right. We can table
So
that.
now you gotta do something with it.
Yeah, right, okay. So, can I get a motion to table the transportation plan?
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, that's on the table. As far as the sidewalk plan, best to table it too then, probably.
Well, that's up to you. I mean, the language here, the language that you have here is compliant with the second-class township code. So the question that you then have, the way that this is going to work, the way it's written, with the amendment that I suggested, is that if it's included in the transportation plan and the Board of Supervisors vote to trigger, then you can require somebody to put sidewalk in. That is the way the second-class township code works, and that would be amending your ordinance to reflect the current status of the law. If you want to do that, you move forward tonight. If you just want to put the whole thing on hold and figure it all out and consider further, you can do that too.
Well, there, you really can't deviate from the code much. Can you become more lenient than the code? Can you specifically not require sidewalks in certain areas of large groups that don't want them? These are just questions I don't know the answer to. I'm a mechanic, I don't know this stuff. I really don't. I'm sorry, everybody.
We'd have to think about that.
All right, so what I'd like to, I say we table the sidewalk for now too, so we can get our heads together and move forward.
So you got a bunch of people here tonight. Do you want to hear from them that are interested in the sidewalk before you table it?
Yeah, before we table. Okay. My name is Frank Seneca. I live on 8824 Ennis Drive, in the corner of South Haven and Ennis Drive. Okay, this will affect me greatly because I'm in a corner lot, 100 by 200. Okay? I've lived here for over 40 years. Mostly all these people back of me are my neighbors. They've lived there over 40 years, some of them. Okay? When I moved in my house, which I built it, I had to build, it was a dirt road. South Haven was a dirt road. We didn't have no sidewalk, we had ditches. Now from ditches, you want to skip it, you got rid of the ditches, now you want sidewalk, and put a great strain on me and other people behind me. A lot of them are retired, like myself, and I can't believe that you would do that to us. Now, if you table this, like the lawyer said he was going to table, I would like to be notified that you should notify everybody that lives in the town hall subdivision. It's going to be affected. Mostly everybody lives on Ennis Drive because Honeysuckle, part of Honeysuckle has already sidewalks. But those people that have it, when they built their homes, they knew they had to put sidewalks. I did not know. Some of these people behind me didn't know either. Now all of a sudden, have you guys even know what is the cost to put a sidewalk? You should know.
Plenty.
What is it, 50?
Last time we put it in, it was about $55 a foot.
$55 a foot. Okay,
There you go.
okay, 300 feet. And some of these have 100 feet, some have maybe even more, right? The people that live on Honeysuckle, when they build their home, Honeysuckle is the new part of the subdivision. When they built their home, they knew they had to put a sidewalk. Because of the builder, I don't know if it was the builder or the township, or the code of the township, I'm not sure, okay? But the rest of us, we have lived. We don't need no sidewalks. We don't have accidents. Can you tell us, if you want to do it for safety, because the kids want to ride? Do you have any example that people got hurt? 5 points, they said they got hurt. Who got hurt on town hall?
Andy Ennis got hit by a car.
Yeah, long time ago. Yeah, and it wasn't about that.
I'm not trying to make it.
Well, let's not get it all.
When I came in this morning, I said, Matt, how can we fix this so they don't have to put sidewalk? That's where I'm at. I don't want you to put them in either, so.
Okay.
I'm listening to you. Everything you're saying.
But when you discuss it again, okay?
Oh, of course. That's
Well,
why
we
we're
know,
discussing it.
when you discuss it again, would you like to, I would like to be notified. I'm sure other people would like to be notified. I do not have a computer, okay? But I still have an address. You can put a letter in the mail and say we discussed it. It doesn't mean that I need a computer. I don't have one. I can tell you right now.
Right,
But I want to know.
sure.
And a lot of these people wanna know too.
Well, this sidewalk ordinance really affects the whole entire town, anybody has a house, I mean, really.
Yeah,
I mean, I live where I have 54 years, I don't know, you know,
I could see if we live in a dangerous area and things like that.
and we've had those cases, you know.
That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Frank.
but you will notify us
Well,
It'll be on the agenda for the next meeting,
it'll be on the agenda, but we can,
for the next meeting.
next meeting.
well, there you go.
Okay,
Next meeting, 6 o'clock,
All
first
right.
Monday of
thank you.
March. Thanks. All right, Lou.
I have a question. I was dealing with the sidewalks.
Name and
I'm Bob Perry, 8801 Icicle Drive. I moved to that house when I was 4. I moved back to that same house in 2019. So Andy Ennis was riding on the back of a car bumper surfer when he got hit, because I was there.
Yeah, you were, right?
Yeah.
Great.
I just wanna know why it was even proposed to put the sidewalks in.
When we were doing our comprehensive plan, we did surveys, that was one of the things that came up was people wanted sidewalks in Town Hall Village. When we went through the process of the Hammond Road sidewalk project, the Oliver Road sidewalk
I
project.
understand all that, don't care.
Well, we
I
got,
just cared
I'm
about
explaining it.
Yeah.
They said in
Yeah.
Town Hall Village in 2018.
And during that process, we got emails from folks in Town Hall Village asking, when are we getting sidewalks?
Did they know they had to pay for it?
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Probably not.
That's the difference.
So that's why it was put onto the transportation plan. Because there was a.
Adding sidewalks adds value to the home. We all know that. It's a walking neighborhood, already exists. I'd like to know if the cost of analysis was done for the cost that we're gonna output to the increase our home, to the increase in taxes that we're gonna have to put these sidewalks in. Was that done?
I don't understand your question.
So adding sidewalks to a home increases the value of the home. That means,
I'm not a real estate.
right, I'm letting you know. So obviously it wasn't done. It was just, let's check it out. I lived there for 30-something years riding bikes. My kids are riding their bikes right now. If you want to put a lane in, a strip down the road for walking, fair enough. Or you could just simply make an addendum to grandfather us in that built the houses in 79, 74, and 75. Because the other thing, the engineering to put the sidewalk in isn't just $55 a foot.
Correct.
Who's covering the engineering costs?
And like I said, it's a transportation plan. It's a planning document. We don't go through and design every single sidewalk before we put it on the plan.
Right, so in 5 years or 10 years, like they said, you guys might not be supervisors, someone comes in, you might not be the engineer, and now we all get hit with this? I mean, that's what our concern is.
Yeah.
You guys might not want it, and Tony, you might be, hey, I don't want him there either. But you know as well as I do, supervisors come and go.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, this is in there. So, attorney, an addendum, a grandfather clause for us,
Watch
could solve everything.
That's all we're gonna back up, Bob, so I can get a hold of it better too, so I don't sit here and tell you what I don't know.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Ma'am?
Yes, I'd like to remain seated because I'm just a little nervous and it just, I feel
That's all right.
nervous. I'm Mary Lynn Allington, I'm at 8829 Ennis. And I had a whole thing written, but I don't have to read it all. So the one thing I do want to mention, and I noticed it in the proposal, you know, it said whereas the township believes that these amendments are in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens and residents. And I also looked up second-class township code articles, section 2401, and in there it does say in section C, it mentions the cost of construction of sidewalks, footpaths, or curbs may be paid by one of the following methods, and it lists 1 to 4 methods. Number 4, the method number 4 reads, when the Board of Supervisors establishes that any part of the road or highway is dangerous to the traveling public and the danger could be materially reduced or lessened by the construction of a sidewalk, curb, or footpath, the Board of Supervisors may lay out and construct a sidewalk, curb, or footpath along the dangerous portion of the road or highway at township expense. And I just don't, so that's in there, and that says that or the township's expense, not our expense. So I don't know why that wasn't included, because that might be an out for some of this if people want, you know, if that's the reason why you want the sidewalks, at least on Ennis or in Town Hall Village, that might be the out for everybody. Because I think people want sidewalks, they just can't afford to pay for them. That would be we're on a corner lot, it would, at some point right now, it's just on the front of ours, but if it goes down the side, we're over 300 feet. We're at like 320. So that, at our age, you know, retirement age is substantial, you know, and the hardship it would put on a lot of people, and to ask that of us, I just think, I wish you would just reconsider, you know, either adding that where it could be an out possibly, or we could use that as an out because that's the reason why you want the sidewalks, for safety, or just not even ever having, you know, putting sidewalks in our area.
And like mentioned, there hasn't been a real safety concern in your area, so that wouldn't be able to be considered as an out.
Yeah, right now though, but there's.
But in the future, if there was a safety issue, the township would go in and put in the sidewalks. We've done it in the past. We did it on Oliver Road, we did it on Hammond Road, because there's a lot of walkers in those areas, and they were walking down basically at Collector Street, and we needed to be able to get them off the road just for the safety of them and the motoring public. Whether that's included in the transportation plan or not, if there was a safety issue and people, if someone got hit by a car walking on the sidewalk, that would be something the township would consider whether it's on the transportation plan or not.
My concern is that if you pass it, and like everybody else is concerned, I'm right up there with everybody else, I just feel it's such a hardship. You know, especially if you're on a corner lot. I'm not downgrading anybody that isn't, because it's a hardship for everybody, I'm sure.
Well, and until earlier this week, we've only heard pro sidewalk in that area. So this is the first time.
They know that they have to pay for it. Did they, see, that's the thing, I heard about this.
Well, that's one of the.
Map, but I didn't hear about what the amendment, I didn't even know that until 2 days ago, that it was being amended. When I saw the transportation map, I went and looked up the ordinance, and it didn't say anything that I could see. You know, I was unsure of who would have to pay for it, let's put it that way.
We even got an estimate already of what it would cost us, just for our 100 and...
Plus the 88 requirements, that's
just
that's
100
extreme.
feet, $8,000.
Okay.
And if we did the other 200 feet on the corner, you're looking at $25,000.
With 88, it's.
And I live across the street from it.
And tree removal and everything, and
Yeah.
topographical. I mean, our street, where we're at, it sits higher.
Well, and that's part of the reason why we put the ordinance together the way we did, is so people realize that they are responsible if the sidewalks need to put in, say, if a neighborhood came and petitioned the township where there's no real safety hazard, but we want sidewalks here, they need to realize that they need to pay for it. So that's why it was put into the ordinance.
Yeah, that's what we talked about this morning. That was one of the big reasons people come to us quite often, and they expect us just to put a sidewalk in because they want one, and so that gives us the right to say no.
But I'm sure everybody on Town Hall would be paid for, right? Because isn't that a hazard to walk on that road?
On
So,
Town
I mean,
Hall.
it's just a select few that you're burdening. You know, that would be burdened. It would be a select few, which is, it's hard to fathom that it could be done.
Well,
I'm not concerned about us, we've been in work for over 30 years.
somebody,
And we're talking about sidewalks, we've had a dead-end road for over 30 years. I mean, just saying.
all right.
As you stated, Tony, if the people come to you and ask for you to put a sidewalk in for them, you have that opportunity to say no.
Right.
Well, if you come to me and say, I want to put a sidewalk down here in front of your house, but you have to pay for it, I should have the same right to say no.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It's the second class. township handbook is not always what you wanted. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Patricia Porsche. I live at 8905 Ennis Drive. We have 2 lots. One has a house on it, one does not. We built our house in 1969. That was the beginning of Town Hall Village. There were 3 houses that year. We had no snow plowing, we had nothing. And it's been developed since. My husband and I are both retired, we're on fixed incomes. All of our kids did not go to the Summit school system. We paid school taxes since 1969, never used the schools. Now, we're talking a lot of money now for 200 feet across 2 lots at the very beginning of the subdivision, which is, I don't think anyone of us that lives on Ennis Drive has asked for sidewalks.
I don't know who asked for what, when, it was during 2018.
Yeah, we have to go through all the files and dig through all the surveys.
Probably a select few, we don't know, I don't know anyway, we can find out. It was in 2018 when they were doing a comprehensive plan, there was some chime in from up that way about sidewalks, but obviously it wasn't the majority.
This is the first I've heard about it in the last 2 days.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, our plan wasn't just to come put in, just make you put in sidewalks, it was just the transportation sidewalk ordinance, but.
It not only affects us now at putting the sidewalks in, then we have to maintain them.
Right.
I'm 78. I cannot be shoveling a sidewalk in front of 2 lots.
No.
You can barely get your driveway cleaned out, let alone shoveling sidewalks in the wintertime. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
With all due respect, if that wasn't the intention, why was it amended and voted on tonight if the intention was not to just add sidewalks?
We weren't targeting Town Hall Village, it was just a township ordinance amendment, but it turns into more than that.
Yeah, because you put it on the books, like that.
Well, but it also, you know, it affects a lot of people that don't have any need for it. And then they think they're gonna get them, probably not. Somebody in the back wanted to say something a little bit. Debbie, are you still, want to say something?
No, you answered my question.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we're kind of what we're doing. Where are we at now? So we're back on.
We're on D.
We're on D.
No,
No, we didn't finish
we
D.
have to finish C, sorry.
First and second on
Can I ask a question? I have to go be a mom, so my issue, is that gonna be brought up at next meeting? I really have to be a mom first, and I can't sit here while you guys talk about continuing Summit Township stuff. I just wanna know when my issue is gonna be addressed.
Can we catch up with her?
Yeah,
I'll give you a call? Sure. I appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys very much for your
All
time.
right, so back to C, we have to decide what we're gonna do here.
So there was a motion and a second, and what was the motion to do, Lisa?
To approve.
That was the motion to approve. So you have a motion on the table to approve the sidewalk ordinance with the amendment I suggested. That would require it to be on the transportation plan and per action of the Board of Supervisors.
Does it make any sense that we tabled or we undid the transportation plan and then put this through? Or is it completely?
Chicken and the egg type thing.
That's what I wonder. Doesn't matter.
I mean, if you want to revisit this in a comprehensive fashion.
I feel like I do, but I don't know how these guys feel, so we got a lot of people that feel strongly about it, maybe we don't all understand it, myself included, so.
But at this point, if you approve the sidewalk ordinance, the transportation plan is not approved. So there's nowhere that sidewalks are required until that transportation plan is approved.
All right, so in the transportation plan, there may be a mechanism to take care of certain problems that arise like this. Perhaps, that's a question. Maybe there's not.
Well, if you you amended the transportation plan, or excuse me, you tabled the transportation plan, right? So that's not moving forward.
Right.
What you're considering here is an ordinance that largely reflects the second-class township code, word for word.
Right.
That says that in order for at any time, for any sidewalks to be required, it be on the transportation plan and approved by the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
So if you're saying does the transportation plan,
it does affect it then.
The transportation plan directly affects it because it's got to have both.
It would have, if it came off the transportation plan, then it would. So that's where we go.
So if we adopt the ordinance tonight, basically, there will be a time where there's no sidewalks required anywhere it's on it. So if we've got a plan for development, we couldn't force them to put in sidewalks.
No, we need to pass this one, but it still stops everything from happening.
All due respect.
Go ahead.
All due respect. This is the amendment with the damaging language in it. The map is not scary at all. This has the concerning language. This is what our neighbors want you to reconsider and give us time to have discussions. We don't want this passed tonight, this portion. The map would have been fine. It's the language here that is what's scary.
I'm thinking just like you, but he's telling me that if it...
Exactly, because...
But I think you and I are wrong. The transportation plan doesn't have the sidewalks in Town Hall Village on it.
The transportation plan doesn't contain any language about putting liens on people's property and the township coming in and forcing you to install a sidewalk. This is where the language is. This is what we want you to reconsider. It does not matter to me what it says in there.
But
it matters to me what it says here right now. I haven't even had a chance to review this. So at least table it so we have more time to review it. That would be what I would think.
Even if we take the language out, the language still exists.
Then why do you need the amendment?
So we're up front with people so they know what the expectation is.
Then you wouldn't need the amendment.
And we have to follow state laws.
Without the amendment, it was not as transparent. It's, now you know more, but we do have to follow the second-class township code. But I understand the one part. If the transportation plan doesn't show a sidewalk in your neighborhood, then that's the end of it, pretty much at that point. Doesn't it have to be on there to get pushed through in some fashion? Or
it is not just my neighborhood. It is every neighborhood in Summit Township, every road in Summit Township.
Right. I mean, you guys are primarily.
I am not a lawyer, but I understand that language.
All right.
Take it out of town hall and you win.
My concern with that is that it could be put back on the transportation map, but, so I understand what you're saying. You know, I don't just understand, like, can there be a clause added to the amendment that states, I don't know, something about, you know, grandfathering in, or if a house has been there for 50 years?
Yeah.
So I can address the grandfather. No, we can't. So because this language is straight up, so if you really want to go deep into municipal law, right? Pennsylvania is known as a Dillon's Rule state. Dillon's Rule is from 17 or 1800, whatever, United States Supreme Court. They came out and they said that municipalities only have powers which are granted to them by the legislature. And so the legislature says, you know, straight out of the second-class township code, you know, the supervisors have the power to do it. Now, the suggestion here before the supervisors today is that they add in there that if it's on the plan and then we take affirmative action, then we can require sidewalks. Second-class township code says that it's just the supervisor saying that it doesn't have to be on the plan at all. They can just approve it by ordinance and make whomever do sidewalks, right? But it doesn't give us the power to create separate classes of people from pre-1969 or people post whatever the years are. We don't have the power to grandfather it. It's not like grandfathering is a zoning concept. where if you've had a use of a particular form for a certain period of time, and then the municipality goes in and they regulate it from a zoning perspective, then that's when it gets grandfathered.
So it can't say like just new neighborhoods or new subdivisions or new developments? It can't say that language, like it did say, sort of, said that?
So, no,
It still
we
says,
gotta follow the second class township code.
That's been around since,
Well, it gets
A long
updated, I
time,
don't know
right?
when the last time it was updated.
If you have to follow the second class township code, then you do not need this language that you have here in this amendment. Which means you don't need to pass this tonight. Which means everybody will have more time to review it.
the language that we're adding is making it more flexible.
The language that's being added is making it consistent with the second class township code.
All right. Well, right, but it's
section of
not.
the code.
All right, well, go ahead. You got it first. We got it first and second?
Yep.
You got a second?
Yeah.
We've already done that, yep.
All right, ready? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nay, there. Sorry. All right, let's keep going here. D, motion to approve, deny urban engineers quote for geotechnical exploration and resolving report for Zuck Road Bridge replacement, $7,290. Matt, you want?
Yeah, sure. So this is a quote to do 2 geotechnical borings, Old Zook Road where the existing culvert is, which needs to be replaced. The 2 borings will be performed to refusal and bedrock, which is estimated to be at 25 foot, and they will be performed at each location of the proposed abutment. It's a lump sum fee of $7,290. And that's about it. There is some additional costs that if, for some reason, they have to drill to like 1,000 feet, there's like a per foot drilling after 25 foot, but.
Yeah. They're not gonna do that, probably.
No, we'd tell them just to stop at the 25 foot, because we should have enough information at that point.
Okay, good.
Okay, and this is, just the exploration, or is this also?
It's the drilling and the report. The report will give us the soil conditions, including the soil bearing pressure, which we can use to design the abutments.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve. I'll second it.
Questions about this? Rich, you? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, I have a question though, because you guys we're back here, where are we on the sidewalks? What just happened with that vote? Are we going to the next, meeting with it, or was it approved and it's done?
The motion was approved, the ordinance was approved.
We had 2 yeas and a nay. Nay. There, I don't know what else to do in these cases.
So the motion passed.
So the motion passed.
The transportation plan will be addressed at the next meeting. For the amendment to remove it from Town Hall Village.
Wait,
Oh, okay, so the transportation plan did not pass.
Correct.
The
Ordinance passed.
the wording on the sidewalks on paying for it, that passed.
Yes.
Fair enough.
E, motion to approve or deny the bond reduction for BNet Valley View Road occupancy from 10,000 down to 2,000. Matt, you checked that out?
So originally, this was a $14,000 bond. They had 7 crossings of township roads that they were planning on doing. It was gonna be a directional bore across each road. But we did the minimum bond per crossing, in the event that they hit something and they would have to dig up the road to find the conduit or anything of that matter. So we've been releasing it as they've been going through. So at this point, they have 1 crossing remaining. So with that, I recommend taking it from the $10,000 that we have at this point and reducing it down to $2,000.
All right, very good. All right, do I got a motion to approve or deny?
Motion
Okay.
to approve. Second.
Questions about the bond reduction? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, land development team.
I
have nothing.
She has nothing. Mr. Solicitor.
I'm above my allotment of words for today.
Okay, Matt, you want to say anything else?
No, I'm gonna still go. So, I talked to urban engineers today, the new road survey for the storm sewer study that we're doing there, I talked to them this morning, or this afternoon. They've completed the field work already, so they must have been able to sneak out there without us knowing. And they're currently working on the CAD end of it to get us the CAD drawings to use for our design. He said they're about 90% done, so we should be seeing that pretty soon. And then, the only other thing I have for tonight is our MS4 public input session is going to be at the next meeting, March 6th, 2023. The MS4 is a municipal separate storm sewer system, so that's why we have an S on the 4. So basically, this is the storm sewers. We have a permit through the DEP to monitor and keep track of all storm sewers in the urbanized area, which is just a fancy way of saying the populated areas within the township. So this input session is kind of a review of what we did over the past year regarding the MS4 permit, where we're going in the following year, kind of our aims and ambitions, and then we open it up for any public comment beyond that. So that'll be at the next supervisors meeting on March 6th. Hope to see you all there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Lee.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mr. Walker.
Yep, thank you.
I have a question before you guys.
We'll go to public input.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks for an enjoyable evening. I learned a lot and probably not enough. Yeah. All right, now go ahead. Public comment. Who's first? Go ahead.
I'd like to know when the last time was that you had this many people show up for a township meeting.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. To do with the same issue?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I wish there was a better way to, get it out, the word out, besides a lot of people don't have computers.
I guess the only other comment I would have is, these last 2 meetings have been the fullest you've had in how long? And our supervisors still voted against us.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Voted against us.
I didn't.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You got my vote.
Yeah.
Matt. Oh, sorry. Why did I call you Matt? Mark. Mark, Mike. Sorry. It's one of the brothers.
My name is Mark Rose, 9951 Shunpike Road. And I'm here on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Fort Buff. I have a couple handouts, if I may.
Sure.
Be careful of the cord up there.
There should be one for everyone.
Thank you.
To those in the audience, I'm sorry I don't have this in presentation format, but you could follow along. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight, and I will try to keep my commentary brief, but you can follow along. So again, my name is Mark Rose. I am a member of the Kiwanis Club of Fort LaBeouf. Bob Oberlander is here with me as well. We are on a subcommittee that we want to speak to you about. A little bit about Kiwanis. We were established in September 27th in 2006. We currently have 53 members, and we're the second largest community-based Kiwanis club in the state of Pennsylvania. And Kiwanis is an international organization. Our mission is serving the world one community and one child at a time. And the community that we scope as the community that we serve is our community that is defined by the townships, municipalities, and schools within the Fort LaBeouf School District. As a club, we are very active. You may or may not know some of the things we do. A lot of them are child-based education, learning, recreational activities. We do them year-round. As an organization, we wish to step up and embark upon a bigger type of project. And that's why we're here today. So we want, as an organization, to support the needs of our community that are the needs of our children. We're in the process of assessing the needs of the different municipalities, and then we would like to work collaboratively with either a municipality or a school or multiple of those in order to endeavor on a bigger project to support the needs of our children. So I'll move to page 3. We're in the process of starting this. We are meeting with each of the 5 municipalities within our district. So Waterford Township, Waterford Borough, Summit Township, LaBeouf Township, and Mill Village Borough. And we are also meeting with the 3 elementary schools, Mill Village, Robinson, and Waterford Elementary. We want to be comprehensive in our review, but we also know that we as an organization will not be able to support every project idea that comes up. Okay, so that's what brings us here tonight. We have no predestined project in mind. We don't have an agenda that this is what we want to do. We want to understand what the needs of the community is. We don't have a defined budget. We will consider small, medium, and large projects. We want our efforts to support the needs of the children in our communities. Our goal is not to own assets at the end of this, okay? We want to, if there is a project that involves implementation of assets, we'll talk more about that. We're looking to partner with either the school or the municipality to put that in place, okay? The endeavor is new for our club, but we have many members in the club that have had project participation in this in other districts in other states as well. We believe we have the skills to help support this kind of project. The timeline completion will be defined when the project or projects are scoped and approved. So our path forward is to meet with the schools and municipalities. We will have met with all of the schools and all the municipalities by March 1. We're looking to get feedback from each of the organizations to determine what are the existing assets of Summit Township in this case, and what as an organization you feel the needs are of the township that we could help support relative to the children. We want to analyze the void between the existing assets and what Kiwanis may be able to do in a partnership. We'll define the approach and the scope, and then we'll develop subcommittees to get into project design, project management, fundraising, grant writing, etc. Next steps, on behalf of your organization, we ask for you to identify your current needs, your current plans, where the Kiwanis organization could potentially partner with you. We ask that the needs be identified to benefit our children. Projects could be based on new equipment, upgrades, additions. Without predefining projects, needs may include but not be limited to academic enhancements, playgrounds, recreation space, ADA accessibility for our children, STEAM improvements, safety needs, and others that I haven't mentioned. Again, we don't have a preconceived idea. We're seeking written input that we can evaluate by March 31st. That can be in detailed form. It can be in idea form, okay? We're collecting ideas to try to move forward. Input can be submitted to me, Mark Rose. I've given you my email address, and then we're going to take all the feedback we receive from the schools in each of the municipalities, and as our organization look at what looks to be feasible in the short, medium, and longer term range. I thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
I don't, you guys?
No.
Very good, very thorough, Mark. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You can, if there are questions, you can reach me at the email I have listed there. I appreciate your time in allowing us to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else in the public want to say something? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming.